Hey guys, alright, it's Brett from Mind Body Martial Arts here. How's it going? In case you don't know, I'm on a channel here on YouTube that focuses mainly on old style traditional martial arts and conditioning training, endurance and toughness training, various different aspects of martial arts. Hopefully, I got a bit of it was cheap, but I got a bit of a new mic set up here for when I do these sorts of videos. So hopefully this will be alright, and the sound will sound pretty good, pretty cool for once, which would be awesome. So yeah, again, thanks to the guys that support the channel on Patreon, and thanks to the people on the Iron Body Martial Arts Iron Hand course, learning from that. That's great, awesome stuff. And we're coming up to Christmas, which is also awesome. So what's today's video about? I did a bit of a mini video for the Patreon guys, but today I wanted to do a video, hopefully if my mic's working. Today I wanted to do a bit of a video of the Bradley Scott and DKU, like a live stream video of my thoughts and like my reaction to the fight, because it's been banding around the internet quite a lot. And then we'll probably trail off onto other things. I don't know how long I'll be on here for. Also, I'm just testing to see if this setup works. What the picture quality looks like, I don't know, because I'm streaming from my Samsung pad, so the picture might not be as good as it could be. But yeah, we'll also give people a chance to see this and join. If anyone's interested, or the guys can catch it later. But yeah, anyway, everyone knows who DKU is. Most people now sort of online, or the YouTube online martial arts world, have seen the DKU Bradley Scott fight. Now, I didn't actually catch much of the hype to this fight. But I don't know if there was much hype for it, because apparently they took it on late notice. But I did catch lots of commentaries of the fight. Obviously, I found out about what happened with the fight, and I did catch a lot of commentaries and what do you call them, like summaries of the fight. I never actually watched the full fight live. Excuse me, because I was working. But I've seen, and through friends, I've seen the fight, and I've seen records of the fight and stuff like that. And it actually, as I said on one of my videos, just a small one, it actually ended up being worse than I thought. So that's what we're going to chat about today. There's been a lot of topics raised by like Ramsey Dewey, by like Red Chucks, by Hard to Hurt, by Sensei Seth, sorry, loads of the channels. There have been a lot of topics raised about what does this mean for martial arts, what does this mean for traditional Chinese martial arts, what does it mean for MMA, it was meant to be this possible be-all and end-all fight. And then quite a few people on my channel have been messaging me and saying, for the size of my channel, which isn't that big, and been saying, oh, well, Brett, what do you think? Because you're big into your traditional martial arts and stuff like that, but then you're also a bit of a fan of MMA. So what do you think of? And also, what do you think of this DKU character, which I don't usually comment on? So hopefully the sound and stuff's working correctly from this mic. This new one that I got, it's cheap from Kmart, but it's a fairly cool setup. It's like the whole rig and everything for like $40 from Kmart. You can't go wrong. So yeah, all those topics to cover. So first off, DKU. I remember DKU from a few years back, and now first off, I don't like on my channel or anything like that and just in general. Yeah, Max. Hey, Max there. Max says fighter versus non-fighter. Exactly. I don't like in my channel to say, and thanks, Max. Hi, hey, mate. Hopefully the sound's all right. If you can just, it's meant to be coming from this mic and not that there, but we'll see. So first off, DKU. Now, I don't like saying negative things on my channel. Yeah, so I keep a lot of opinions to myself about other channels and about other people and about martial artists, because there's enough. Thanks, Max. I wonder if it sounds better than like normal. Let me know. I don't know. It's like one of these USB fancy mic setups. I don't know, you know. But anyway, so look, that's part of the ethos of my channel. Is look, there's enough negativities out there. There's enough. There's enough like, you know, fraud channels that try and expose frauds and look into people and this and that and the next thing. And a lot of it is just for views and controversy and stuff like that, because I'm a firm believer of we all have eyes to see with, and all the martial artists worth half their salt would know. And that's what annoys me about these expose channels, is that, no, sorry guys, most of us out here don't need you to expose these idiots to us, because we can see that they're idiots. So yeah, but anyway, that's the thing. You say something negative, it gets like 50,000 views. You say something positive, no one even sees it. But sorry, that's my little bit of a gripe about the whole expose thing. It's just, I think it's a bit pretentious. A lot of the time it doesn't need exposing, but let's just say it does. You know, so let's just say, I mean, maybe there's people who you know, don't look so hard or don't know or new to martial arts, or they might be tricked by these people. But my opinion on that is these people will be tricked anyway. You know, my old instructor used to say, my old jiu-jitsu instructor used to say, like, the right people will fall into the right martial arts, and they will usually be the right characters. Like the phony people, you'll find them in phony death touch martial arts. They won't train very hard, blah, blah, blah. You know, the better people you'll find in like MMA, full contact karate, this and that, you know, because they're more practical, you know, they're actual martial artists. And you know, or you'll find them studying in-depth kung fu, sometimes being a bit tricked by it. But that's my general opinion on the whole exposes thing. So anyway, I sidetracked off there, but so let's take this on to DKU. I saw DKU, he came onto the scene a couple of years ago, and I personally didn't buy the hype. Now, I said this in my mini video that I released to Patreon guys, is that my opinion of DKU, I don't like saying negative things about anyone, but my honest opinion of DKU was that I didn't really notice the guy. So this is it. A few years ago, I've seen DKU on the internet like everyone else did, and he was like knocking that guy's motorbike helmet off, and doing his moves and this and that and the next thing. And I thought, when I first saw him, I thought, oh yeah, fair enough. This guy, he appears to be at least not crap at his kind of style of martial arts or kung fu that he's doing. You know, Chinese martial arts, or I don't know if he's a Korean or something like that. But anyway, the Asian martial arts scene is massive. It's got big influence from China. Max says genuine frauds needs exposing, but not all martial artists are about sport. Some just do it for health, and that's not fraudulent unless you sell it as self-defense. Yeah. So that is true from Max there. It's a good point. So DKU, when I first, now bear in mind again what I'm saying is I don't feel I need to expose anyone. I don't feel anyone needs to listen to my opinion, and I don't like to say negative things about people in general, but let's take it as truth be told, my genuine opinion. When I first saw DKU, I saw the stuff he was doing. He looked fast, he looked like he had some kind of skill, but as I said in my other mini video, did I pay any attention or notice him or anything? No. Did I feel it was of value to me as someone who's done like years of kung fu, years of karate and other stuff like that? I've been training since I was like 14 or 15 years old properly. And I've been doing martial arts since I was 5, and I'm 35 now. I should be better, yes. But you know, when I saw DKU, I was like, yeah, you know, he's got something that he does. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to diss on it because he seems to have speed and he seems to have this. Now, this is before he blew up, and I was like, yeah, no, fine, cool. It looks a bit dangerous, you know, whatever. And then I paid no more attention to it. So fast forward like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years, and this guy's blown up all over the internet. And to be honest, I just kept doing my thing, and I didn't really pay any attention to the guy. So that's my opinion of DKU, is that to me, he was another like martial artist joining the scores of others that are just doing their thing. But obviously, what I then didn't follow, but I know now, and I've known, is obviously he's got this. I don't know what it's called, combat. There's a combat warfare system, and loads of people have gone into that. McDojo Life's gone into that, albeit McDojo Life's not my favorite channel. But yeah, McDojo Life's gone into that, and they've all exposed all the things about what he says about his system and everything like that. So DKU, what did I think of him? He's just another martial artist. He seems to have a bit of speed. I didn't buy into any of his warfare combat system. I didn't buy into his system of movements. It seemed very good against like a one-step opponent, but I think you can only just prove by what we've seen on the fight that although he survived, next to none of his moves were used in that fight. Now I know we're fast forwarding a bit, but I know he claimed a lot of injuries. Now here's another thing as well. So take this from someone who's trained like pretty hard style kung fu and conditioning, whether it's Chinese or Japanese, for now for 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 5, 10, 15, 20, for like 20 something years. Someone who's been pretty hard on their body. Martial arts is kind of, when you get to a certain age, it's also about longevity, it's about surviving, it's about what you can do. Now, it's of no surprise to me that all these, you see, the Asian martial arts scene can be like that, and Kung Fu can be like that, where they latch onto one philosophy, like one way of trying to do something, like they get into this like kind of whipping power. This is what DKU is latched onto, like a gimmick. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a gimmick, but it's like their gimmick for them. It's the same as like iron hand training. I know I've trained that for years, but it's like someone in Kung Fu's little gimmick. There's iron head training. There's different kinds of speed training. There's different kinds of power training. Ging, rising power, sinking power, projecting power. There's all different kinds of power training, different kinds of trainings in Kung Fu. And this is DKU's gimmick, this flicking, his sort of movement, speed. But it's of no surprise to me that he's picked up all these injuries. Because look at what he's doing. Look what he's been doing with his body for all these years. He's been like flicking it and twisting it and like, launching his spine in weird ways. So it's of no. So I didn't know anything about his injuries. Not to overly criticize the guy. I'm not sure quite how old he is. I didn't know anything about his injuries until I saw them on the fight videos and the post-fight videos. But when I heard about them, I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, I'm some nobody, but I have been training, pretty hard martial arts and other kinds of endurance training for, like I said, like 20 years now. And I mean, yes, we can all pick up injuries, but again, in the style he was doing that then was not used in the fight that he had. He was already out of commission before he even had the fight, by his own definition, by his own admission. His body wasn't capable of doing the martial art anymore. In fact, doing his style. So that's one thing about DKU, like when it came down to it, when he actually needed it, his body was not capable of doing his style of martial art, because all his training that he's done for it has like wrecked his body. It's like pinched the nerve in his neck, it's pinched the nerve in his main arm. So yeah, that's a bit, sorry, Mr. DKU, but that's a bit of a letdown for, all the people that he's instructing in that thing. Now, I'm just calling it as I see it. Again, I said, I don't want to be too negative on the guy, because my initial estimations of him was that I didn't notice him. I saw him years ago, and I just glazed over. Oh yeah, that's a gimmick, it'll catch someone. He seems a bit fast, he seems, he's got that sort of Bruce Lee kind of movements. Oh yeah, all right. And next, because I know from lots of different kinds of hard kung fu training. That's just like one little aspect of a big picture of martial arts and kung fu, is the sort of types of movement he was doing as a gimmick that was latched onto. So that's DKU, and then he's ended up injured. Now we can all be injured, and especially people who do BJJ and stuff. You guys will know, like we're always injured. I'm a hobbyist to BJJ compared to a lot of people out there, and you pick up some nasty injuries in BJJ. But yeah, so anyway, DKU. It's an endless topic about the guy. But what did I think of him in summary again? I saw him years ago. I thought, oh yeah, because I like to be positive about people. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that guy looks fast and he's beating the helmets off the people and doing these one-step moves and stuff like that. I thought, oh yeah, he's got something. He seems fast. He seems all right. Fair enough. I question whether those would actually work against, a real opponent. But that's something that we know is in traditional martial arts anyway. This learning system that you have to go through. You have to do it like that. Yeah, okay, I'll buy that. I'll have that for $1. Another thing that I always complain about with things like that is time. So in a real situation, you guys will know, self-defense wise, you can't make more time. And this is a mistake that like warfare combat systems and loads of self-defense systems do, is you can't give people more time. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's like if someone's attacking you, you've got like 1 second, probably screwed up the mic, you've got like 1 second to react, even less than that, and you're on the back foot because the hand's quicker than the eye. So they might have already even hit you. So that's when it's kind of ludicrous when you're expecting people to like be attacked and at the same time do these like, these like multi-maneuvers and multiple strikes. And also they're generating that power. So for instance, in DKU's responses to his attacks, he's generating the power that he's generating in like 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, or however many seconds. Yeah, so he's generating it. They're behaving in slow time. He's generating his power in real time. But in a real situation, he would have to generate all that power even faster than what he's demonstrating. And that's something that I don't know if you hear a lot of people talk about, but that's a lot of things that get missed, I believe, in a lot of self-defense martial arts stuff, is that not only do you not have the time to do multiple moves, but you don't have the time to generate the power that you've been trying to practice in those moves, because everything happens faster. Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing I would say about like GKU's combat system. Albeit I'm not as learned in it and I haven't picked it to pieces like some channel have, because, like I say, I've only glanced over it because I didn't pay it much attention. But yeah, I'm sure there's channels there that have really sunk their teeth into it. 100 Street Fights Man says, short-term UFC training, long-term martial arts make you healthy. Make you more healthy. Yeah, well, you could, I guess, do you know what, UFC training, is a lot, it should be just like your basic martial arts and wrestling and grappling, and then cardio and endurance body training. So I used to do a lot more martial arts style training, and then for work, I then needed to, in the last couple of years in this channel, I then needed to do sort of militaristic style endurance toughness training, but that's very close to what you would do for MMA as well these days. So in that regard, I think MMA training can be just as beneficial as old school martial arts training, if not more so in a way, because it's sort of current modern day MMA training will keep you sort of a bit like a military fighter sort of thing, if you guys know what I'm saying. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you'll be doing sandbag sets, kettlebell sets, band sets with the rubber bands, resistance bands, press ups, all kinds of full range body motion. So you could, I'm sure it may even evolve to that point, but you could do just full MMA sets of just MMA training, and you'll be an awesome martial artist, and you can have the longevity. Well, excuse me, like we were saying before, funny thing is that DKU's meant to be doing the more traditional style, or whatever you call it, normal martial arts, but his training, got a thumbs up there, thanks Guy for the MMA comment, his training has almost knackered his body more than just doing normal MMA or jiu-jitsu or whatever training, from doing all the weird flicking and this and that and the next thing. And that is something, I must admit, that you do have to be careful of in, like, I don't even know if we can call them traditional martial arts, but like, I don't know, TCM, Chinese martial arts, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, you have to be careful of like pseudoscience and, like I said, people latching onto these gimmicky things that they do. Like I can even say, I've trained iron palm and iron this and that for years, and lots of people can. I will do not blame people if they'll just be like, man, that's just a gimmick, it's just a waste of time, blah blah blah. As it happens, it isn't, but it depends to what extent you train it. If you stand there and you've got a big fat belly and you just smack your hand and you do nothing else other than that, then it's probably a waste of your time. But if you try and be a well-rounded martial artist and you just condition your hands, you can condition them less than even you need to. And you see these Chinese guys like, breaking these bricks with like these big, fat, huge hands. You don't need to do it to that point. You're only trying to do it to the point where your body and your punching power doesn't damage you too much. That's it, Now, I've had a cool comment here. Max says DK doesn't appear to have connected power. It's flicky like a whip, so it isn't penetrating. Yeah, Max, I didn't intend to speak about DKU for this long, because again, like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't have anything against the guy, and I don't, part of my channel is historically, you can go back 10 years, I don't come on my channel and go out and try and like assassinate people or, destroy them or even say bad comments about them. I try not to do that. But I guess because this fight has happened, these things have to be said. Like the kind of power that DKU is trying to demonstrate, in Kung Fu it would be called like ging. Ging is like a sticking power. It's like a short-term penetrative power. Yeah. That's ging. It's from like, and I don't know how to explain. Fa Jing, ging. Yeah, it depends how you pronounce it. It's called different things, but that's just one little power. There's so many other ways of generating force that are recognized within Kung Fu and martial arts, and DKU is demonstrating one, and he's latched onto that, and that's what works for him and his body, and that's cool, and that's fine, and he's teaching that to his students, and fine, happy days. And it's resonated with some people. We all have different learning styles, we all have different bodies, we all have different things, and to some people they get ging, and that's them, and that's their body shape, and that's their style, and other people get other kinds of power, like rising power, sinking power, just sticking power, projecting power, just like brute force muscular power. There's a lot of different ways of generating power, and and theories and this and that. So can I blame DKU for, he's obviously practiced his style, he's obviously put effort in, and I have to, like I said in my mini video, I try and look in the positives and people and what they contribute to the martial arts, and from his early videos and stuff of him doing his thing, he at least appeared to be a good martial artist at what he did. martial artist, okay, at what he did. Was he a good martial artist per se? Is he a good fighter? Well, now that's questionable. Is he a good fighter? Well, not particularly. It doesn't appear. But then this is getting on to the next bit. Then it's confusing for everyone, because then it's like, oh well, hold on a minute. He was meant to get knocked out. He was meant to get destroyed, and then he survived 6 rounds. Albeit 6 of like the funniest rounds we've ever seen. But and I'm no boxing commentator, but this then comes to the point of, this is what we mean with sport combat, and this is a lot of the times what I say is, people are angry at him, but hasn't he just played the game? Like, he's gone into the sport combat arena and he's just done exactly what he needed to do to survive, which is pretty much, unfortunately, just like clown around, because it must have been scary for him. And yeah, he's fighting a big opponent, Bradley Scott. In DKU's eyes, this guy's like probably like a big barbarian. So it's interesting, because he's done, and this isn't in a support video of him. I'm just being a devil's advocate here for both sides, because I enjoy both sides. But he's done the bare minimum of what he needed to do to survive in a sports combat scenario with the rules that they agreed by. And apparently he had these injuries whereby he couldn't generate power with his hand, and he had this problem in his neck from his, it might not be, but I'm thinking it's from his style. He's been doing all this weird flicking and twizzling for these years, and he's just like, hyperextended and pulled the muscles and wrecked his skeleton, because he probably doesn't do it equally both sides. I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting. So we can go on to that point. So Max says, let's see, 100 street fights man says, training MMA without sparring is hard. That's why I said useful short term. Yeah, street fights man. But then street fight man, you can, like we were saying before, you could train. You might be able to argue that you could probably train MMA style training with the endurance sets, with the grapple dummy, with obviously having had some experience of sparring. So you're remembering your experience of sparring, you're doing endurance sets, you're doing grapple dummy, you're doing your bag work and stuff like this. So you could probably train all those things in lockdown on your own and be better martial artists than a lot of traditional martial artists are, I reckon. Quite easily. More effective, more powerful, and I'm saying that and people are probably thinking, man, what's this guy talking about? But I'm a traditional martial artist, because think about how hard, because it's all about how hard you train. It's also about your quality of training, but it's about how hard you train. So think about how hard you train those things. I've done the endurance sets with my bar, loads of sets, slam balls and this and that. I've done those things, and they give you good cardio, they give you good endurance, they give you good sort of hormonal testosterone boosts, strength boost, endurance, muscular boost, and then you can apply those to your simple martial arts, which is nice, solid punching, striking, kicking, checking. Add a bit of conditioning to that, like I like to do. Add a bit of bone conditioning and stuff like that from the traditional martial arts, and you're even better then. But it's a good point from 100 street fights man, who was basically saying that it's like MMA for short term and traditional martial arts for long term training. I think it doesn't have to be that way anymore. What have we got here? Nick Lee says he doesn't have that skill, he wasn't able to use in the fight. Yeah, 100%. Nick Lee. DKU uses some systema. There are 3 different types of power: depth, skin, muscle, and organ. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Gloves were sparring gloves. so he couldn't get knocked out. Oh, okay. Well, do you know what? That doesn't. I did wonder where DKU got his kind of movements from. You know, I did recognize them from kung fu movements, but Sistema makes sense to me. Yeah, Sistema. But Sistema has also got its origins in old kung fu as well, because a lot of Shaolin monks like defected to Russia away from China, the Cultural Revolution. So if you don't know, Sistema is like a Russian martial art. It's a bit of a blend of things. I'm sure there's lots of people who know the real in-depth of it. But it captures a lot of essences of a lot of different things. But there's certainly a big essence of Kung Fu in there, from the Kung Fu that was brought over by the Shaolin monks. Or did not necessarily have to be Shaolin monks, but people who defected away from China at various stages in history. So anyway. So here's the big crux. So we've talked all of this time, 31 minutes, about DKU, and everything that he was doing, and his style, and this and that and the next thing, which I'm not a big expert on. Thumbs up there. Oh, thanks guys for the thumbs up, the likes and support on the channel. Really does help. Thanks a lot. And the Patreon guys as well. Awesome. And the Iron Body Martial Arts course people who check that out. Yeah, for a bit of conditioning training. It's got some good ratings. But yeah, so we talked all of this about DKU. And then Bradley Scott, again, I don't know a great deal about Bradley Scott. I know the guys have a channel, it got closed down and it's opened up again. I know he's a legit MMA fighter, English guy. Again, you can't really fault him. I'm sure people who've got more technical knowledge about all of those MMA things and commentaries can, but personally, me as like a martial artist who I'm a nobody, I can't fault the guy. It's like I said it in my little mini video. He is what he says he is on the tin. He is an MMA fighter. He's fought in the UFC. I remember him from the UFC. I don't know if he won any. I don't think he won any matches in the UFC. Again, Bradley, apologies if you did and I didn't realize, or I don't know. When UFC went pay-per-view, I wasn't able to follow it anymore. And I was just kept up to date with it by my brother. But anyway, so you got Bradley Scott, who's basically the quintessential modern MMA guy. And then obviously we got DKU, it's like a freaking Street Fighter Tekken versus, and you've got like, everyone's like, yep, that's the martial arts Bullshido community in DKU, and this is like the tradition, this is like the MMA guy who's going to smash his head in, and I believe he was saying online, how he's going to knock him out, this and that, and then if we boil it down to, so look, we're glazing over Bradley Scott, and I know he had issues too about preparing. He had a limited preparal time, and that's very important for like a proper ring fighter. Ring craft, as you guys all know or don't know, you can be a good martial artist and even quite a good fighter and a brawler, but ring craft, when it comes to training for like fights in like the octagon or boxing or whatever, that's a whole nother animal. I learned this, or I learned that, or I became aware of it, when I joined a year or so, a couple of years ago now, or a year or whatever it is, when I joined our local MMA club. Now I wasn't ignorant to this. I didn't think it wouldn't exist. But when you go into one of those clubs and you see how much the guys have to do, and you see how different the world of like self-defense and ring fighting is, it is an education. I learned a lot about how different those worlds are. I used to talk a lot about how different I believed they were from the real life side of things, because I was on that end of the spectrum, and I used to be like, look, these guys who talk about cage fighting and this and that, I used to be like, it is vicious, it is violent, but it is different, and I stick by that. It is vicious, it is violent, but it is just different. And ringcraft, so this is why we're just glazing over Brad, because other than the ring craft aspect, it takes work, it takes conditioning, it's its own game. It's like a chess match in there. So at times, so that's a whole, so you've got to be a martial artist, you've got to be a fighter, you've got to be conditioned. Then there's also the ring craft that goes into that. And I'm sure you, what do you call them? Competitive fighters and stuff. If anyone's listening to me gas on, you will know what I mean by that. But anyway, glazing over Brad because there's not really many issues to point out about him. That we've gone on about DKU for ages, but Brad, he's a fighter. He's proven himself. He's fought. I'm sure there's people who know a little more about him and have broken down his particular technical capabilities and this and that. But I'm not going to do that because, someone else has probably done it and it doesn't matter. I'm not going to diss the guy. He's a fighter. He fights in the ring. That's all he needs to be for whatever his goodnesses or badnesses are. It's not for me to say, but that's what he is. So we need not say any more. He's not fraudulating anyone. He's not trying to make any kind of systems up. He's not trying to make power and stuff. And when you see him on his videos on his channel, I forget what the channel's called. Sorry, just because of the time of night, Fight TV or whatever it's called. Every time he speaks about fighting and speaks about commentary, it's coming from a place of like knowledge, and that's all you can ask from anyone. He's like, oh yeah, no, that guy shouldn't have done this. If someone tried this with me, I would do this, I would do that. That's all that you can ask, is that someone's knowledgeable about their system and they're not bullshitting you. Okay, what more can you want than that? So anyway, now finally 36 minutes in, we get to the place where Brad is fighting DKU in this ring. And of course, from what they were saying, that they were like, man, DKU's going to get knocked out. He's going to get destroyed, and that they were saying that. And then he lasts 6 rounds. So we get back to this topic again, and I think the whole everyone, Ramsey Jury, like all the channels, everyone is just like a bit shocked by this. That he's lasted 6 rounds. But then, like I said before, we don't really know what to say about this. But hasn't he just done the bare minimum that he needed to do to survive, to get through within the rule set that he was given? And then that's funny because, self-defense, actual street self-defense or whatever you want to call it, is really usually about surviving. That's the narrative that they push. It's like surviving an encounter, surviving this, because sometimes if you you have to win and overcome your opponent, but sometimes if you put excessive energy into winning and overcoming your opponent, you can get got by another one, or you can work yourself into a dangerous situation where you're then facing more people, or you can't see what's around the corner, or you get yourself into more trouble, or this, that, and the next thing. So I have to, from that point of view, I have to, I don't know what the word is, but I have to sort of say, okay, well, I don't know what to say. I can't, from that point of view, I'm like, oh yeah, well, fair enough, he survived. Why didn't he get knocked out? And Brad threw some good punches at him, and he dodged and ducked and weaved them, and that was obviously his game because he said he was injured and this and that, and this whole thing about his front hand not working. But put it this way, look, it's weird. As an ambassador for his system, if I was one of his students now, which I'm glad I'm not, I wouldn't be very proud. I would, but to the same extent, if I was into his system or whatever, I wouldn't be, I'm sure he's taught them, each person, something of some value, and they've taken it away. But, because not everyone needs to be, you can learn from someone. You can learn like one little thing from someone. It doesn't mean you're like dedicated to them, So, he may have had some valuable stuff that he's been teaching. But yeah, if I was one of his students, I wouldn't be wholly, really proud and impressed of him based on what we saw. I mean, you guys if you've seen the fight, excuse me, you would have seen that there was a lot of hugging. There was just ducking and dodging. I don't even know what you'd call it. I know Brad said that he had this like southpaw unorthodox posture, and that kind of, I think, I won't say much about what I think Brad did or didn't do, because, I'm not a UFC ring fighter like him. But I think, like he said, he was put off by the southpawness. But I think being a real UFC fighter that he is, he's very aware of how easily you can get knocked out in the cage for real life. Like some Bullshido practitioner might not realize. And that's why, like, you see DKU in the fight and his like hands are down like this and he's like bopping in and out. Because he's probably never had the experience like Brad has, of just someone goes like that and like whack, you're rocked, and this happens in a lot of these Bullshido matches that you see where the guys are there and they're going and like, they have no clue of what it's going to be like when they get hit, and then bang, they get hit and they're like, whoa, and it's just like the end of the world to them. So I think in a way, not to give him excuses, but I think in a way Brad has almost over-respected, and we'll add that to another thing, because there is a bit of a conspiracy theory going around that it was like a throw-in fight and he was told to go easy on him, which is possible, but I'm just going to look into that from like a conspiracy theory side of things. But I think Brad almost possibly over-respected what DKU might be able to do, until he'd been hit 1 or 2 times by him, and he was like, literally, as you can see in the fight, he was literally like laughing and like, wow, that really didn't do anything. So I don't know if you guys understand what I mean, but I think, as an actual UFC fighter who's been hit hard by some top level guys, I think when he got caught with this unorthodox posture, and he was like, I think for initially, and he came in throwing those hits and he was dodging, and I think initially he might have even just been overly cautious of what DKU might be able to do if he hits him, because he's like thinking back to his real fights and going, oh shit, if I just cop a hit, if I get overconfident, cop a sly hit, I'll just be out. But then that seemed to die off towards the other rounds, because I think he got hit like 3 times or something, and he was just like, it didn't even do anything. So there we go, no power either. But then again, we've got DKU, I think, who's in a lighter weight category, I think. So, that's maybe what's the issue there. Let's see, oh shit, we missed some comments here. Someone said about the gloves, the sparring gloves. Yeah, we did see the gloves. Scott and them showed their like big puffy gloves that they had. But then someone did mention like Tyson Fury's gloves were like the same. They were like big and puffy, and they were just smashing people. And I would have thought that if your gloves are not that dense, your hand's just gonna sink through them, and it's almost going to be worse of a hit. I don't know. Does anyone know? I mean, maybe not. I mean, I think I've worn some pretty sort of puffy, shitty gloves in my time. And I think the puffy, shitty ones were almost worse for the other person, because your hand just sinks through them. And then, and the padding like moves out the way, but I don't know what the material's like. I'll just have to take what the guy said as given, because they're the guys who actually fight in the ring. I don't. Chozo 1761 says, just saw a video of a girl training iron palm and breaking bricks. Her right hand was twice the size of her left and looked a bit discoloured. Is her hand swollen from striking? Yes, it is. That is a very old, traditional and extreme method of iron palm training from the Chinese there. And yeah, it is literally, so there's no internal aspect to that iron hand training. So what I mean by internal is like the system, not that it matters, but the system that I use for iron palm training may not be as powerful as that one externally, but it involves actually strengthening the muscles and the tendons and doing a lot of grip twisting exercises, and then also hand hitting exercises to strengthen your hand and the muscles of your hand and the tendons, where that method involves literally just striking your hand and putting the Joe, the plant steroid, on there. So that's basically how it works. Is you hit your hand. You do a lot of other things to your hand as well to just stress out the hand. A lot of times you only train the one hand because you have to hit it so many times. And then you put, now the importance of putting the rub on, the plant steroid rub, the Joe, is it makes the blood flow, but it's also like a corticosteroid. It's a topical steroid, so that will over years of training that it obviously grows that area. Basically it makes the bones grow, it makes everything grow, and very difficult to get that without the ointment. That's why every system of Kung Fu that trains iron palm stresses the Ditta Joe ointment, because without, I don't stress it that much in mine. Well, not that it's mine per se, but every system does, because you need it really to heal your body. Yeah, but that's a bigger topic. But anyway, back to this. 100 Man says sparring is 100 man fights. Sparring is essential. That's my opinion. At least from time to time, learned it the hard way. Yep. Sparring is very good. 100 street fights, man. Sparring, on a different set of topics, sparring is often most people's only, and we'll get onto that actually, it's most people's only experience of pressure, or what everyone seems to call pressure testing. It's mostly the only time anyone has anything like that. And most people. So of course, it's essential for your martial art. Anyway, that's another topic. I've got in trouble for talking about sparring before. I'll tell you why in a second. And Nick Lee says the Fajin principle should be explosive. DKU is purely defensive the whole fight, but he did play the boxing game as a sport. He survived. Yeah, well, that's a thing. Yeah. So yeah, so what can we say? We kind of got to love to hate him, or hate him to love him. I don't hate him, but you know what I mean, because he survived. Now, one thing I will say though is, if that was an MMA rules match, he would have been destroyed, absolutely destroyed. I mean, it's a shame because I don't know, because we haven't seen, but based on his stability and how he was falling down, I don't think he's got much of a ground game, which again is a big danger to a modern or any martial arts system. You have to be wary these days, especially these days. If you're doing a system of martial arts, like in my opinion, and you don't have any kind of understanding of ground defense or ground game or wrestling, then please go and do some of those things. Because being ignorant of wrestling is just, you're just giving away a trump card. You might as well go and do it, because it's only when you do wrestling or you face some of these guys, even if it is in like a ring situation, like a sparring situation, a rolling situation, but when you do it and you realize how much there is to learn, I believe it's a benefit to every martial artist to try and learn those things, because honestly it'll be useful to you. And I'll tell you a story about it as well, when I've used it really, and it helped me a lot, and I've said it before. Stefania Azen says he did win UFC matches. I think he was 3-5 in the UFC. Oh, there we go. So apologies to Bradley Scott. I didn't know. I thought, just going on what my brother told me, I thought he'd gone in the UFC and like lost a couple of matches, and then he sort of left. That must have been it. He won a couple, he lost his last couple, and then left. So apologies. So he's won. It doesn't matter if he won or lose. He's done great, and he's a proper true fighter. Um, he would have lost. There's Monkey God saying he would have lost a lot of face if DKU had knocked him out, or even rocked him, I suppose. So that's another thing. What I was saying before is, um, we're trying to come to terms with how is it that DKU's survived this 6 rounds, and we've seen that he's done it by like just playing the game and hugging and stuff. And the rules, I know. Oh geez, I know his channel name and now I've forgotten it. I know Ramsey Dewey was talking. He was pretty shocked about like the way the rules were run for that boxing match. He knows a lot more about the rules than I do. But something I was saying, I don't know if anyone else is saying this, is that I think, I think that possibly, I don't want to speak for Bradley here, but I think that possibly Brad has almost, well, he said that his opponent was a bit unorthodox with his stance, and that put him off a bit. But I think he's almost given him too much credit. And because Bradley's fought against some of the best guys out there in the UFC, and he knows what it's like to get hit and get hurt, DKU's come with a bit of an unorthodox posture, and Brad's gone, oh shit, I can't afford to take a hit, I don't know what this guy can do, he must have had those thoughts in his mind, until he's actually been hit a few times, and then it was like, it was nothing, and he just brushed it off. So I reckon part of the reason he might have lasted so long is that Brad was just almost overly cautious about what he might be able to do if he did hit him. As he would be in any other normal MMA match, you have to be very cautious. You get one hit, that's it, boom, you're knocked out. But you'd have to ask him, maybe he's answered the question, but whether he didn't even believe DKU could do that, in which case then we're no closer to the answer. But yeah, certainly if he'd rocked him or knocked him out, Brad would have lost loads of face. Yeah. It's essentially impossible for DK to have knocked him out. DKU has no punching power, doesn't really know how or where to hit well. Maybe not impossible, just very unlikely. Yeah, Seraphim Arisen says that. Yeah, mate, I think we've all come to that. And it's funny because I think I saw a video of DKU hitting a one of those, those power testers. I think he's got one of those out there. And again, look, I have to apologize to DKU. The purpose of this video is not just another, and I did say this at the beginning of my channel, the video. Look, in my channel historically, go on the last 10 years. Sorry, that's probably quite annoying. My hand just coming at the screen all the time. Excuse me. But in the history of my channel, you can go back 10 years. I don't come out and speak out against people. I try and be positive about people. I try and let everyone see for themselves, because I'm just the same as everyone. And, I watch someone and I go, in my mind, I go, oh man, that's shit. And it's not up for me to come out and go, oh, that's so shit, and I'm going to expose them. That's not my job, and who the hell am I to do that? Someone could come and expose me as an idiot, I'm not, not that I'm scared of someone doing that, because, who cares? I'm just some loser at home. But, expose me if you want. So what? For what? I don't know. But so I try not to say bad things about people. That's not the intention of this video. But again, because this has happened, this fight has happened, so many topics have come out of it. And I think I did speak out once or twice before in the past about some Jake Mace videos. And again, Jake Mace, you only have to say the word and the screen would blow up. Jake Mace caused a huge stir. I mean, he's the one laughing at all of us now. He's in Alaska somewhere in his freaking cabin, in his naturalist cabin that's fully paid for with all the millions he made from YouTube, and he's just laughing at us. But yeah, I did speak out. I didn't speak out against him, but I spoke out against some of his self-defense videos, which I thought were a bit irresponsible. But I tried to keep it clean and cool and to the point. Whereas I know other channels and friends I have on YouTube just absolutely flamed the guy and really didn't like him. But a lot of that was also for views. You got to call it for what it is. And that's why I'm not a big fan of these exposure channels exposing fakes and this and that. It's just like view generating, man. You come online, you say something good about someone, and no one will watch it. But you come online and say this person's a fraud, this person's a fake, this person. There's so many channels that have come up that way. I've been on YouTube here for 10 years, being a loser on YouTube, and for one hard to hurt channel. He came along the scene. I remember when his channel just started. He came on the scene and he directly pointed his arrow at a number of big channels, and he was just like, and he said it himself. He just went for all the big catchphrase titles like Kung Fu doesn't work, this is bullshit, Aikido's crap. He just knew what would grab people, and then he's injected it. And he is a funny guy as well. I've done impressions, so fair enough on the guy. I've always said that he's a funny guy. I've done a few video responses to stuff that he's done. Not that I've been noticed, because again, I'm a nobody with 10,000 people on the channel in 10 years. But that's fine, that's cool. I just stick to my conditioning and my training, because that's what it should be about, conditioning and training hard. And if you waste all your energy trying to friggin' diss on everyone else, you're just wasting your time. But having said that, so look, sorry Mr. DKU, but having said that, this fight has happened, and it's kind of like everyone said, it's kind of like one of the first times on YouTube that something like this has happened and everyone's turned up to the plate. DKU's actually gone, and that's another thing a lot of people have said you have to give him credit for. DKU's gone, yeah, okay, I will fight this UFC fighter guy. He's a bit bigger than me, he's younger than me, I will fight him. And he at least fought him. And he didn't get decimated. So he at least has some like modicum of skill, even if it's not boxing, but I don't think he ever claimed to be a boxer. So he's a bit fish out of water. He had his injuries that he had. And then it is Brad, isn't it? Yeah, it is Brad Scott. Yeah, it's so late, I keep forgetting everyone's name, sorry. But Brad had his issues too, I think he took the fight at late notice. He was on holiday. You watch his channel, he'll tell you all the things. A lot of people who don't like him or whatever, accuse him of like whinging and making excuses, and that's for them to, that's for you guys to make up in your own individual minds. I'm not going to say anything about that. But yeah, anyway, DKU, he lasted the 6 rounds. He played the game. I don't think everyone got what they were looking for. They wanted him to get just destroyed and absolutely nailed, and he didn't. So there's a lot of people with a bit of, not egg on their face, but a bit sour, not sour, but a bit like, But there we go. That's do you know what? That's a good picture of real life. Things do not always turn out as you see. And it's a thumbs up. Thanks, guys. That's a good picture of real life. And I said I was going to tell you guys a story. So we'll go on to sparring and wrestling and stuff like that. So I'm always a big advocate. I always used to say real life's different, and I still say it now. Real life is different to sparring and stuff like that. Me and old Sergio had a bit of a row a couple of years ago. Not a row because we're mates, but Sergio Perez, Practical Combat Martial Arts, because he was going on about like how important sparring is and this and that. And sparring is very important. I agree. But I interjected with a point where I was like, well, yeah, sparring is important. It's not the be all and end all. Because, there are people out there who don't spar anymore, and they can be just as effective and just as deadly as people who routinely spar. So sparring is good. Everyone should do it. But there's many ways to gain these skills. And what I was talking about was people who have real life experience. So for instance, you got an MMA fighter who's, you know, done his sparring, he's done his fighting, and he hasn't done anything for a while, he's still a dangerous guy. You know, you can't go up to that guy and go, oh, you know, you're not sparring anymore, so you're not dangerous, because he knows what it's like to be in a fight with a real person. He doesn't need sparring anymore. He does. If you guys get where I'm coming from, he does need it, because when you don't spar, you realize. I was just talking to one of my mates the other day who does competitive Muay Thai, or used to. He went back to his fight club, he hasn't sparred in ages, and he was like, shit man, I've gone so slow. You realize, yeah? But that's in that context. Take that out into the real land, real world, and there's a lot of other factors to like a fight. It's a different video. So look guys, take it, you don't have to take me on my word here. You know, you guys spar as much as you want to spar. You know, that's awesome. And it'll hone your skills and it'll make you good. But just remember in the back of your head that that's not how a real confrontation happens. It's not. You know, there's very rarely a chance that both people put up their dukes and the other one even knows that the other one's going to fight the other one before punches come in, you know, a king hit from behind, more than one person. And the only reason I say these things to be weary is that I know what it's, you know, I've experienced it myself, you know, in law enforcement and stuff like that I've done for the last 12 years, is that the visceral reality of like actual combat with weapons. So that what I'm talking about is with firearms or truncheons or spray or tasers, other people with knives, other people with dangerous objects, hand-to-hand combat with those people. This is low level. I'm not even talking, you know, soldiers and stuff like that would know even more. But what I'm saying is there is another aspect to fighting that exists out there, and self-defense and this and that and the next thing. And where I was coming from with the be careful of sparring thing is that there are a group of, like, let's say there are a group of people, or there must be a group of people who exist, or I believe there's a group of people out there who exist who don't have confrontational jobs. They don't confront people in real life. Then they do sparring and stuff like that with pads on and kickboxing clubs and this and that, and that's fine and that's cool. But then those people, and this is what was happening, because they were coming on my channel because of what I said to Sergio, and we were seeing it from a different point. But those people were coming on my channel and going, oh, you're not real, you're fake, you know, you don't even know what a fight is, you don't spar and this and that and the next thing. And that's the point that I'm coming from, is that don't, you know, I don't know, maybe they were youngsters or whatever, I don't know, but don't be someone, or be careful if you're someone who your only experience of pressurized fighting is in a gym with pads on or not pads on, you know, to a lesser extent, even in a ring, which is high pressure, so we'll say to a lesser extent. But don't be a hobby martial artist, done a bit of kickboxing and stuff, bit of sparring with your mates, and then come to people who really deal, bouncers, security staff, military, people who really deal with violent and aggressive people, all the precursors to combat and risk assessment, dynamic risk assessment and threat awareness and threat identification and body language. Don't come to them and just be like, oh, you don't spar, you don't know what you're talking about. There's a whole, this is why the DKU and Bradley Scott thing as well, we have to say, there's a whole nother, just like in the UFC where there's the whole thing of ring craft, I've covered the mic, in real world there is ring craft for the real world, street craft or whatever you want to call it, I don't know, the streets, but it's a thing, you know, it's a thing, and you know, there are valuable lessons to be learned from traditional martial arts and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, and the, you know, a lot of these systems that are getting poo-pooed these days, because You know, a lot of the instructors, they might not be the fittest and best anymore, but a lot of them are ex-bouncers, ex-tough guys, doormen, you know, stuff like that. People, you know, you pick your instructor, you'll know. Military, I used to know jiu-jitsu instructor who was ex-special forces, and you know, these guys aren't idiots. You know, they don't do these things. You know, these guys who really confronted violent people in aggressive situations, you know, they're not idiots. They don't do these things for fun. And, you know, to a certain extent, it may take a bit more work, but if they tell you these things work, then they're telling you, well, they should be telling you from a real and honest place. Because, you know, I don't look around and see a lot of like ex-special forces, British special forces people lying and talking crap about what's real combat, you know? But anyway, sorry guys, I trailed off. There. I'm talking absolute crap. But where I was going from there is that we were talking about the sparring, and I just wanted to get that point across, that there is this visceral difference between the reality and the fierceness of ring combat, and then the reality and fierceness of like the streets, if you will, that a lot of people hide behind, a lot of self-defenses hide behind it. But if someone's honest about it, they have to say to you, yes, it is. It is not a skill you learn, but it's a feeling, you know. You know. But all good fighters will know this, you know. Okay, Max. Max says there are efficient ways and less efficient ways to gain skills. Tennessee 47 says, you mean that most of the time something unpredictable is going to happen and nothing can prepare you for it? Yeah, right. Yeah, Tennessee, correct, man. Max says it'd be very difficult to reach a high level without sparring, or at least non-cooperative resistance. Yeah, agreed, man. Have to do it. Even in the old traditional martial arts, they're always sparring each other, fighting. You know, you see old kendo, not kendo, this is new, old jiu-jitsu block manuals, the guys in like half armor doing stick fighting, sparring each other, excuse me. Seraphim, I agree that sparring isn't going to totally prepare someone for the realities of a real fight, but I still think the only way to prepare to get hit is to actually get hit. Yeah, 100% agree, man. Monkey God says, I think the boxer Joe Calzaghe doesn't spar much, but he can fight well. It's a way to build skill, but it's not the entire business of it. Yeah. So, but no, don't get me wrong, guys. Spar as much as you can. But you know, you don't need me to tell you this. But all I was saying was there's a select few people out there, and they're probably just kids on YouTube, but who didn't seem to realize that there's these two different worlds. You know, there's sparring, a bit of sparring in their dojo with their mates, and then they'll come on here and talk to like military professionals, police professionals, you know, people who deal with violent everyday shit violently, and go, oh, you don't know what a real fight is because you don't spar. Those people are absolute idiots, you know, absolute idiots. And there's a lot of them because they come out of the woodwork. They don't do a lot of listening, but they do a lot of talking about what their point is. I get their point. Their point is, we do sparring and that's what we do and it's the best. And it's like, yep, your sparring's really good. And their point, if you don't do sparring right now, you're shit, you're a fake martial artist and you're not real. And my point is, no, that's not true. Because a lot of us, you know, slightly older as well, whatever, we've done our years of sparring. We should still be doing it now, but we've done our years of sparring. We've learned some stuff. Some of us are in jobs where you actually have to fight real people, you know. And yeah, the tables are mixed. Sometimes you've got weapons, sometimes you don't have weapons, sometimes you get caught on surprise, sometimes you don't. But that's real life. That's why I have to sort of not commend, but I have to say the joke's on us for DKU just surviving that fight that he did. Because isn't that just his warfare combat system to survive? You know, he just survives. So yeah. So story time. Sorry guys, this is going on for an hour now. I need to go to bed soon. So story time. So before I said, no matter what martial art you do, David Hughes says, I love to hear common sense. Well said, brother. Thanks, Dave. So story time. What I said before is a couple of years back when I joined the MMA club that I was training at, I had a skill set. I learned some extra wrestling and stuff like that, which was good. Groundwork, BJJ wrestling. I'd only been doing it a couple of months. I had all right ground defense, just defense, not very good at submissions or anything like that because I didn't know them. I knew jiu-jitsu submissions from the ground that I could do. They were like versions of standing ones that I could do, and a few holds, basic ones. So anyway, I did some ground stuff, very good. And I advise all of you guys out there, if you don't know groundwork, to train it. And I actually did a video recently of it. It's called like the #1 ground posture that could save your life or something like that. So go and check that video out. I think it's a live stream. I'm not sure. But it's such a simple thing. So you can, if you just go and do a bit of wrestling or whatever, and you'll learn some just awesome basics about like framing and shapes and how to pin people and this and that, the next thing, and you'll get to practice it sparring, and that's just awesome, and it's invaluable. Because I had a situation then in real life, so we're going to real life now, where I've been learning the jiu-jitsu and stuff, and we've been doing the rolling, and in real life, some freaking sausage head had been smashing up at the neighborhood, and I went after him and his mates, me and my mate. Anyway, my mate caught up with his two mates. This is obviously law enforcement. My friend caught up with his two mates, and at a distance, they all seemed pretty big. So I seen them, and of course, the biggest one of them was the one I ended up facing, and he's like this bald head, classic sort of meathead kind of, from a distance as well, looked a lot more scarier than he was up in person. But yeah, I'm thinking, oh shit, look at these three, when you get a call, or I don't know, you might not know, you get a call like, oh, some guys are smashing up a neighborhood. And, these three guys look like three big biker guys. And one of them was a bit thin. So 2.5 big biker guys. And they're pretty much the worst guys you want to see in those situations, because you rock up and you're just like, oh, for God's sake, like, there's going to be a battle here. It's going to get real. And again, real life. There's a part of you that like wants to fight, and you're like, yeah, but if you've done it for freaking 12 years and you're just freaking trying to survive and go home, and then how much paperwork you're going to have to do, it doesn't become so much fun anymore. Maybe when you first join. And so this is what I was saying about the sparring thing. It's like the real life fighting has a lot of ramifications to it as well. More so if you're like law enforcement or whatever, but also as a civilian. But anyway, these three guys, I'm like, oh, for God's sake. So anyway, we can't do nothing. So we run after them. Oh, you guys. And the two of them are stupid, they stop. And obviously the two who stop, my mate just stops and talks to them. And I'm like, oh yeah, the two of them stop. The other guy goes running off. Now, this is where martial arts comes in. Fitness, endurance, toughness training, militaristic style training, your MMA sets, whatever. This guy goes running off. He's a big guy, bigger than me. So I put him at about 100 kilos or more, maybe a little bit taller, but out of, a brawler, but out of condition. So he runs away around the corner, so I'm running after him. But again, I've got my 10-something kilos of kit or more. I've got the vest, the gun, the belt, the accoutrements, but I train with the vest on. I train with a weights vest. I do running, I do carrying like bars and stuff like that. Just part of my endurance toughness training helps with the martial arts, because there's no point running up real. This is real. It's a different world. There's no point running after someone, and when you catch them, you can't do anything, and you're gassed out. Then you will lose, like in a cage fight, like in a boxing match. You will lose. You don't need no sparring to tell you that. You are going to lose. Okay. So anyway, catch up with the guy, and he sort of turns around. Well, I start catching up with him, and he's running away, and he turns around. Then he sees that it's only me running after him. Mistake. This is a mistake these guys always make. Because I'm not the biggest guy in the world. So he's like, oh yeah, look at this guy. So he turns around then, because he's like, it's only this guy. And this guy always fights anyway when you catch up with him. I've never met him before, but I found out later. So he's like, oh, well, look, it's only this guy. What's he going to do? So then this idiot, so I'm like, so I guess he thinks he's going to, intimidate me, you know. He's like at the side of the road. Then he decides to jump backwards into the main road. So this is like a highway style road. Well, not a freeway, but like a highway, a main road. And there's at least there's at least 2 lanes of traffic going each way, but it's a busy one. And it's a big one because the Australian roads are big. So this guy's in the middle of the road now. So here's another thing. Like, who teaches you self-defense for in the middle of the road? Who teaches you that? So you've got now a self-defense situation where you're fighting someone, an aggravated offender, who's pissed up on drugs or booze, and now they're dancing around in the middle of a road, and you're looking left and right, and there's cars like coming at you, you know, and it's like ridiculous. So where's the BJJ then? Where's the ground game? Where's the nothing then? Well, I don't want to get my head run over by a truck, do you? And this is why that's what I was saying before, like real life, I'm not even making this up, real life self-defense and fighting is just a completely different ball game. It's, you know, that you just, it is, just think about it for a second. It's not sparring. None of that is sparring. Where in sparring is any of that? Yeah? But sparring will teach you those skills to survive, yes. But this is why, like, sometimes people don't have a clue. So yeah, anyway, so I'm there, I'm looking at this guy. So this is like a nice mashup of kung fu and whatnot. Actually, I won't disclose where this happened. I think I might have leaked it a bit there, but it could be any country. It could be England, it could be Australia. I'm not going to say, because the use of force laws are different. But anyway, so this guy's bouncing around in the middle of the road, and he's kind of looking, he's going like, fucking come on, you. Sorry about the swearing. He's like, oh, fucking come on, you, fucking this, you know, come on, like hands out like this, ready to freaking fight. And I've looked left and right and seen cars, and I've just gone, no, this is ridiculous. So I've done the old, I don't know where the move came from, but in my mind I've just gone, about 5 meters that way is the other pavement. So in my mind I've just gone, all right, and I've told this story before, I've gone, all right, bang. So I've got the guy there, and I've just run him back into the curb, and we've both fallen over into the curb, like fallen over the other edge, but I've succeeded. I've got me and him to the other side of the road. Yeah, and now we fall on the floor. But because this guy's bigger than me, real life, he falls on top of me in mount. So how funny is that? So now the Gracie brothers are rubbing their hands together, going, I mean, you could not set this up better for the Gracie brothers. So I've grabbed this guy by the throat, I've run him to the opposite side of the road, and we've both fallen down onto the floor. He's bigger than me, so he's fallen on top of me in what I would say is an unskilled mount. And like I said, the Gracie brothers, forgive the laughter, but I could see them when this happened appearing in the top corner of my YouTube screen, watching me, going, oh, you see what happened here? He's fallen in mount, and you're gonna have to do this and this, and it was almost funny. But here's the real life coming, because I've done that extra bit of grappling and training, and I did make a video on it. It was just so easy to deal with. There was no scrapping, there was no crapping around, and you know, a little bit of nice training, sparring, and real fight attitude. It all came into one on that occasion. It was great. Grab by the neck, throw to the other side of the road so we don't die in the road. We've fallen over, a bit of a sacrifice maneuver on my part, because we had to get to the other side of the road. Otherwise we'd die in the road maybe. But yeah, oh shit, now the guy's on top of me, and he's gone, all right, now you're going to pay. Now it's on, because he was pissed off that he got grabbed by the throat. And he's going to start to, what I thought he was going to start throwing bombs. But I've done the good old grab round the body, pull him in, yeah, round his chest. So he's got 2 posts out. So I grabbed round the body, pulled him in to me, and he's like, he's like stuck. I've removed one of his posts, flicked him over, and then now this is where real situation comes in, because we're not in a BJJ class. So nice bit of conditioning, do the headstand kung fu training. So push him over, 3 nice headbutts to the face, 1, 2, 3, just quick ones, yeah? Because like I said on my other video, if you went crazy and did like big ones like this, and the guy moved his head, you'd knock yourself out on the street, on the floor, and you don't want to do that. Now the same thing goes for big punches. When you're in mount, don't punch people on the floor, but when you're in mount in the street, don't try and throw these big giant punches, because watch your opponent move out the way and you break your hand on the floor. And in the street, if you break your hand on the floor, you're all fucked. Yeah? It happens in the MMA cage, but their hands are all wrapped up and protected. Yeah, it happens out on the street and you break that hand, give it a few seconds, you're out of the game. So a few little tips there to show you that it's real. Yeah, so anyway, 3 nice headbutts. There's nothing else I can do. Control the hands. 3 headbutts leading into 2 elbows, which can be bigger because the opponent is stunned, and it was job done. So that's my little combat story for you guys. I don't like telling them that much, but when they fit into the narrative of what we're doing, it's awesome. So yeah, there's a little story for you guys that I said I would talk about wrestling and a little bit of ground game and how it can help you, and how it helped me. Thank you BJJ, thank you wrestling. How it helped me only 3 or 4 months after I'd started doing it, in a real situation. But it added into my kung fu training, it added into my conditioning, it added into those things. So excuse me, so try and be a good, well-rounded martial artist, and those things will help you out. So what have we got here? Tennessee 47 says, so how can you prepare for these kinds of situations, or being in so much of these situations make you react faster? Tensai 47, good to see you again. I did see you before. Well, mate, that's the age-old question. I don't know. How can you prepare, mate? I think all you can do to prepare is just train as hard as you can, keep a level head. Don't get into these kind of situations, but know that if you're training right, your training will prevail. Yeah. A lot of it as well in those situations is about like fighting spirit, because I've seen people who can't really fight bluff and out spirit and out threaten people who can, in the real world, in matches. It happens in MMA, it happens in boxing, psyching people out. There's a whole psychological game. So that's what our instructors always used to say, is that, even within Kung Fu, that's a big ethos, is that just train as best as you can. Don't be overly cocky or overly confident, because those kinds of bravados they exist for the ring. But in the street world, they can get you in a lot of trouble, or they can get you out of trouble. So I'll leave that one up to you. Sorry, it's annoying, mate, but I don't have an answer to the question. How do you survive? I mean, sorry, this was meant to be a Bradley Scott and DKU talk video, but we spoke about it, or we spoke about the points. How do you survive more in a real situation? How have I survived? Just because I train a lot, I guess, and I'm always managed to be a one-up on the person that I face. Do I face like the most skilled people? No. You know, have I faced skilled people? Possibly, yes. I don't know, maybe, you know. But everyone is a threat, no matter who, no matter what skill level you think they are. Every single person in the real life that you encounter is equally as dangerous threat, and the threat only gets more, once you start to realize they've got more skills. So that's what I would say about that. 10 side 47. It's nice to see you two, man. What you say is extremely similar to what Red Chuck says. You two create amazing content. Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, I like old Red Chucks. Yeah, I do like old Red Chucks. I don't get the chance to reply and stuff and do too much on YouTube now. That's why my videos have been a bit low, because I've got a young son and it's just been so busy with him and with work. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, guys. I mean, look, I appreciate it. I'm just here gassing on, talking crap. And I'm not, it's just one little opinion. I'm not saying it's gospel. I'm not saying believe it. I'm just trying to put it out there for people. Maybe it'll resonate with someone. Maybe it'll help someone or save someone from something. I'm not saying it'll save their life, or I don't mean it like that. I just mean, maybe it'll just resonate with someone who was gonna do something different, and they'll go, oh, actually, yeah, maybe. But then generally the right-minded kind of people, or similar to us or whatever, they will be listening and to this or whatever, and the people who will not be saved by it and who will do the wrong thing and will be stupid will probably not listen to it, because they don't agree with me or they don't like me or whatever. It's not nothing to do with me. I don't know. But yeah. But yeah, guys, so anyway, hopefully this new $45 Kmart mic of mine did the trick. And yeah, that was my talk and summary video on the reaction to the DKU Bradley Scott fight. I didn't cover the whole conspiracy theory side of things, because there were a few people saying that that Bradley was sort of paid or told to go a bit easy on DKU. So this, I don't know what you guys think about that. We'll never know that side of things. I mean, I could kind of see it, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think the guy's pretty credible, and I wouldn't question his integrity and credibility. But I can see it happening in like another way, because obviously they've had to agree. Like, if this was like a Mortal Kombat deathmatch, the real thing, then it would have been like. So they've already controlled it in a way, because if this was what we really wanted, they would have been Bradley Scott DKU, and he would have been like MMA rules, turn up on the mat. 3 5-minute rounds, bring freaking everything you've got. And DKU, literally like a pillow exploding, would have just gone, and like within a few seconds would have just been destroyed. I reckon it would have exploded. I reckon that's what would have happened. MMA rules. He would have just been finished. It would have been good to see. Well, not because I want to see poor old DKU get hurt, but I just think based on what we saw. But, so they've already controlled it, haven't they? Because that wasn't Bradley Scott's idea. So the DKU team, who stand to lose a lot more, and the Brad team, who stand to gain a lot more, have already spoken and gone, okay, well, we will do the fight, but it's boxing rules with these gloves and these gloves, and these are the rules. And they've already hamstrung poor old Brad Scott. They've dressed him up like a Christmas ham, with all the ropes, and they put 2 big fat boxing gloves on the end of it. So Brad, I'm just joking, obviously all due respect, but they've hamstrung him, haven't they? So in a way, the conspiracy theory isn't so outlandish, because it's already happened. They've agreed to that set of rules when it should have been a proper, especially if you think the tradition of it, DKU, and the tradition of full contact martial arts tournament fighting, or whatever you want to call it, It should have been that MMA rules or some other kind of weird rules. DKU, Brad Scott, bang. Wrestling, kicking, striking, it should have all been there. All the fancy techniques that DKU can use. Yeah. But yeah, none of that. It was just like a lot of people say, it was just like a glorified sparring match, really. And that's nothing on Brad, or nothing negative on him, but it's just what people are calling it. I'm sure if a lot of us had been hit by those punches, we would have just been like destroyed. But yeah, DKU managed to survive them because of his secret powers, his secret kung fu powers. Oh, anyway, sorry, I gotta stop now. I'm starting to take a piss now. I gotta stop. It's too late. David Hughes says, like the rest, I love the content. It's real. You're the type of guy that you would want to share a beer with. Unfortunately, you're too far away, but at least we have the channel. Yeah. Yep. Cheers, Dave. Actually, I don't publicize it too much because I don't want to promote the taking of alcohol, but I did have a couple of whiskeys before. I must admit, I'm a fan of a whiskey with a single cube of ice in it. You can't go wrong. Kentucky bourbon or just a Irish whiskey. Single cube of ice. Just to freaking take the edge off. I try not to do it. Try not to do it too much. Max says I recently gave the booze up. Well, good Max. I'm proud of you. It's always a good thing. Oh, actually, for anyone still listening, what have I done? Oh, anyway, hopefully the sound's good, guys, because like I said, I paid the sum total of 45 Australian dollars for this high quality mic setup from Kmart. So hopefully it sounds good. On that note of what Max says about the alcohol, excuse me, in the new year, I'm not going to ruin your Christmas, but on the subject of the alcohol, in the new year, oh man, that's a whiskey repeating on me. In the new year, because every year or every couple of months on Iron Body Martial Arts channel, we have a theme, whether it's strength and endurance, whether it's iron palm training, whatever it is, we usually have a training theme. This, after Christmas, like I said, I'm not going to ruin your Christmas, but after Christmas, I was thinking that the theme was going to be internal health, and boring stuff like that, but there'll also be normal training, but the theme is going to be the theme is going to be annoying, and I know you hate it, but the theme is going to be fasting, flexibility, I hate to say the word, but longevity. So there's going to be some kind of herbal stuff as well, just like some supplements you can take, but not fancy pantsy ones, just a little bit, like, just like, I'm just going to sort of take people through, like, you can have this ginseng, you can have this holy basil, you can have this tea, drink it, this is what it does, you have this for your training, don't eat, there's some fasting in there, I know people hate fasting, Monkey God says it sounds good, as you get older it matters, yes. Now what it will also help with is that, especially from Christmas, if you guys have indigestion problems, if you have irritable bowel problems, if you have skin problems, if you have any kind of problems like that, that develop as you get a bit older, or you might have them already, we can help you guys to get rid of those in the new year. That's going to be the theme. So you might say, like, well, how are you going to get rid of that? But I have in the past suffered for a lot of years from very bad digestive issues, stomach issues, immune system issues, and I've managed to get rid of them through these things through fasting. So I do a 24. I know you hate the word, but I do a 24-hour fast system that I do, and it's really been a game changer for rejuvenating the system. So you guys, for your homework over Christmas, eat and do whatever the hell you want and enjoy it, but have a little bit of a read about fasting, about 3-day fasts, how it resets the immune system. This really isn't pseudoscience, guys. It's been around since ancient ancient Hindu medicine, biblical medicine. It's long proven. There's an old Indian proverb. I forget what the actual proverb itself is like. If you don't eat at the rising of the moon during this time, blah blah blah, you will be super healthy and live super long. And it boils down to if you fast 4 days in 1 month, it's health. You see, the modern Western narrative pushes. This 3 square meals a day, consume, and you don't realize and you don't need, even for people like us who are training, because that was my biggest fear. I'm trying to train, I'm trying to put weight, I'm trying to be muscly, narrative. And if you tell me, you need to have 1 day without eating at all, there was this, I was just couldn't even consider it. Yeah, but actually, if you do it, you will be more healthy. And there's ways you can extend it to like 2 days, but you still get to eat a little bit, and it still does. It's actually 20% more effective than just eating nothing. So what we'll do in the new year is I wanted to go through those things with you guys and introduce those. There's a few things, but even that thing alone, just the fasting, if you just do the fasting, you will benefit greatly. Probably the biggest benefit. You'll unlock, it's not a secret, it's not what it is, there's nothing magic, it's just what your body is best at. Yeah, so in the new year, I was going to go through that, that's going to be the theme. We're going to do the fasting, but we'll go through it. And I'm not saying detox or cleanse. I don't believe in that rubbish. But you will reset your body, and you will allow it to behave optimally. Yeah, and the good thing is, you guys read up about it. When your body's put in a fast starvation position, the first thing it does is it destroys bad cells. It destroys scar tissue. It optimizes. So those things that we all, cancers and this and that and the next thing, these can help to stop these sorts of things. So that's what we're going to do. Autophagy. David says, I mean to tell you, I got a leather wall bag and it's rock solid. My left hand has 1 knuckle which is badly swollen. Any tips to reduce the swelling? Dave, stop hitting the wall bag and the swelling will go down. No, no, I'm kidding. Dave, if you've got some bad swelling on that knuckle in the middle, give it a little rest. In my opinion, give it a little. No, I'm kidding. Give it a little rest. If you've got some Dit to Joe, put some Dit to Joe on there. If you don't have that, red tiger balm, just make sure every night get some red tiger balm on there. Massage it in 1 or 2 times a day and just give it a chance to heal. Have some ginseng, which is again something that we talk about in the new year. Get some Korean ginseng and stuff like that, and have that. Have a tablet of that, and it'll help you heal from the inside. There's another herb called holy basil, not to be mistaken with normal basil. It is also an adaptogen. Ginseng is an adaptogen. Holy basil is an adaptogen, and there's also some like deer antler horn, something or other, that's an adaptogen. There's quite a few. What are adaptogens? Well, adaptogens are, and this is again something we can talk about in the new year, but adaptogens, they're not magic, they're not pseudoscience. They're chemicals that help your body to physiologically and psychologically deal with stress. Now, physiological is your body, your being, and psychologically is mentality. And these chemicals are proven to help your body deal with both of those things. Now, less mental stress means less inflammation. Less inflammation means healthier body, means a calmer immune system. When we're punching things all the time, we create inflammation. Yeah. So adaptogens are internal medicine. The one, or I'm pronouncing it terribly, but it's a tea pill or whatever you want to call it. You can get them, and they're made of a lot of different chemicals, but those, a lot of different herbs, but those are just two. So yeah, get some holy basil or get a bit of ginseng. You can just buy that in the supplement store. Try and get a good one. Have a course of those teas for a week or two. It'll help you to heal from the inside. Also, before you're training your iron palm stuff, have some ginseng if you can. If it reacts okay with you, that again is a main ingredient of Ditta Jo. Is chili pepper, ginseng, dragon's mane, or is it dragon's tail, frankincense, myrrh, and other things that crop up all the time. But yes, the ginseng creates a blood flow. Yeah, and I don't mean a magical, mystical blood flow. You can read up about it. It's proven. You have ginseng and just gets the blood flowing in the body. Like gets the blood flowing, gets the blood moving. But so from the ginseng, sorry, I'm gassing on. But from the ginseng, you'll have the added benefit of blood flow, and you'll have calming adaptogen, making the body be able to deal with the stress of the training. Yeah, so that's for you, Dave. Do that. But that's sort of the more what we're gonna have in the new year. Yeah. Now the only caveat to that is I was thinking of inviting. Or doing some kind of, not a course, but I was thinking of doing but I don't know if I'll be able to commit to it. Obviously, I was thinking of getting a group, and the group go through all of these things or some of the things that they can do. Now, obviously, I have to do the group thing through the Patreon. That's Dave again. Dave said, thanks, Brett. So that's the only thing. I mean, these days, especially, and again, it's thanks to the Patreon guys that I do stuff like this, but these days I don't have a lot of time to just put stuff out there and spend time, just push it out there. So I did think, well, if I am going to do this, first off, people have to, if we are going to try and do this internal health drive, you kind of want people to commit into it, and that was the thing. The only thing I could think of is, I can release it on here, but people might not see it, or they might see it at different stages. But the only thing I was thinking is, obviously I'm going to run it through the Patreon, so the people can just, people are on the Patreon can benefit, or the people just join up the Patreon, and then they can follow this health drive, or whatever you want to call it, with all these methods and all these things for as long as they want. And if once they're fed up or they don't want to do it anymore, they can just leave or whatever, and then follow it on the YouTube. But still, anyway, I wanted to let you guys know it's out there. I've got an intention to do something for the new year, but it might not be on the mainstream channel, or it might be bits of it on the mainstream channel, but bits of it with the group. But having said that, my main problem with Patreon at the moment is again, great, many thanks to the people who just support it, but participation within the group has been an issue in Patreon, because obviously I was trying to make almost like a school with a syllabus and participation, but people join it and they watch and they're there, but you don't get much feedback from them. I've said it on all the things, like, send me stuff, let me know how you guys are doing, you know. And I kind of feel bad because no one really sends me anything. And that was part of the ethos of it, is that, but then if they're happy to do that, I say it on every bit of the Patreon, like, you can join up this and this and this. If you don't want to send me anything, that's fine. But I do kind of feel bad because, like, no one sends me anything, you know. Like, I don't feel bad for me, I just feel bad on them. I'm like, oh, you know, I feel like I'm not doing anything for them. So anyway, that's my gas about that. So anyway, we'll do something. I want to do something. I'll be doing it anyway, but I've also got to think about what people out there will want to commit to, because your average everyday folk probably don't want to do 24-hour fasts and Qigong and this and this and this and this and this. Maybe they want to do some of it and not others. But certainly I think the fasting is something that everyone should try. So maybe I'll introduce that. Maybe I'll do a video just before Christmas, and then we'll try something after, because it's so beneficial to everyone's health. Honestly, I can't talk about it enough. As such a simple thing. I'll tell you what. If you ever doubt what you can and can't do on no food whatsoever and how healthy you will be, watch a funny series on TV called Naked and Afraid. It's called Naked and Afraid, so look it up. They send people out naked into the wild. It's ridiculous. But these guys have to survive for like 14 days to 40 days on the like advanced one, and they have to survive just with nothing. And no clothes. And a lot of the time, like, some of them go in and they come out nearly dead. And it shows you how such little things could kill you in the wild. But, you know, some of them who take to it go in, and, you know, really they come out, like, if they're not in there for too long, you know, they come out looking not bad at all. They look some of them look like wrecks. But some of them, you know, come out and they look good. You know, they look better than when they went in, you know, in a way. But anyway, so. Max says, good point, I'm learning Xingyi online and should send some videos for criticism on the site. Oh, well, Max, not criticism, my friend, just because I'm interested to see. You know, not for criticism. I'm not the freaking master of the universe. You know, I'm nobody, you know, but as a friend or whoever I am to whoever you guys are out there, or a guy or whatever I am, you know, I'm just interested in martial arts. I learn stuff from people, send me stuff, you know, and there's like a particular movement they're doing or a staff thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I haven't seen that before, because, you know, we live in, you know, as big as the internet is, you know, the world is still a sheltered and small place at times. You can't see everything, can't do everything. You know, I'll see a maneuver someone will do, or I'll see something that they do and I'll be like, oh, hey, that reminds me of that. Oh, that makes sense. You know, it's awesome. Like I say, you can learn a lot from stuff. Oh, Max says, not for you, I meant for the Xingyi Academy, as that was the feature of the course I wasn't using. Ah, well, there you go, Max. Sorry, mate, I got you wrong there. Yeah, mate, yeah, definitely. Well, do it. Send your Xingyi in. If they can critique it for you and give you some things, do it. Because that's what would happen in the dojo. You'd be doing your Xingyi, or the dojang, or the Kun. You'd be doing your Xingyi, and the instructor would be like, no, yes, terrible, very good. Very seldom would he say good, probably. He'd just be like, terrible, very bad, do it again, you're worthless. And then he'd be like, no. and then like one day the instructor would be like, that was just about okay, but still terrible. And then you'd be like, oh. And so, yeah. All right. Paint the fence or sand the floor. Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Well, look, Thanks a lot for tuning in. Yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope everyone has a really good Christmas, and a very good New Year and everything like that. I'm actually off over Christmas, very rare. I'm off to the 27th, and then I'm back in work, and I'm sure I'll just be working solid. So up until the 27th, you might see a bit more of me, but past that point, I'm probably going to be smashed, which again doesn't help with the thing that I wanted to do for the new year of the health kick and stuff like that. But I'll let you guys know. Got to do something. Alright guys, well thanks a lot. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thank you for the likes and subscribes and all the comments. Like I said, the channel has been going for 10 years. And it's a labor of love because I don't really get anything from it. But it's a record of the crap that I do. So, excuse me. I've met some awesome people through it, and the world has even changed over the 10 years that I've been on this YouTube. I remember my first video was on an iPhone 3GS that was hanging on a piece of string in my conservatory in North Wales. Not too much has changed. I'm still using a pad, but I've got my $45 microphone set up, so I'm freaking Elvis Presley right about now compared to what I had before. So don't get me wrong there. Alright guys. That's it. I'm gonna go to bed, and my baby will probably wake me up in half an hour's time. Little Jack, my son. But yeah guys, Merry Christmas, have a good one, and I think I've exhausted that topic, and I ended up, like I usually do, gassing on about all sorts of other crap. Hopefully the video quality wasn't too bad. Hopefully you didn't get too annoyed by my hand suddenly appearing in the screen. Max says have a great Christmas. Tensai47 has a great Christmas. David has a great Christmas. Yes, thanks for listening guys. All the health, all the wealth, and all the blessings of whatever kind of blessings you think can exist in this universe to you and your family, and the people that you love, because they are precious. Some of us over Christmas time just unfortunately get to remember the things that we've lost, like brothers and fathers, and husbands and things like that. So it can be a sad time, but yeah. What can we do? All we can do is carry on. Alright? But yeah, thanks guys. And good training everybody. And I'll see you around. Be sure to comment, send me your thoughts, and yeah, send me links to videos that you guys are doing, stuff that you're training, just out of curiosity. I know there might not be too much of that now because we're all going into Christmas, but yeah, stuff you want to do, if you guys are interested in topics or some kind of collaborating or something, it's cool stuff you want to try. I know the iron staff is something that's going to be big for me in this next year as well, because I'm just resurrecting my iron staff. I think we died off there for a second. I'm resurrecting my iron staff training because I'm not getting to train as much. Because of the little baby. The iron staff is just a great one. The iron staff is just a great way to just train lots of different parts of the body and your movements, your martial sense. It's better than nothing. It's good for the bones, good for the skeleton, good for the breathing. So yeah, that's why I've been chucking out the iron staff stuff there. We come the new year, so we're going to be fasting, we're going to be doing iron staff, we're going to be looking a bit more into our herbal medicine and qigong and stuff, but to a realistic level, not bullshit levels. Okay? Alright guys, have a good one, I'll see you around.